It justifies, and from there it's stem the other agendas, which are pro-abortion, LGBT rights, feminism, animalism, multiculturalism. This is not conspiracy theories. By the way, when I say something, it's properly researched. That's why I'm a researcher. So I'm not just saying Bilderberg, Illuminati, or I'm substantiating every response.
Hi, everyone. This is Christian-apologist.com. It's S.J. Thompson. We're on here with Dr. Miklos Lukas, and he is an amazing person. Dr. Lukas, if you want to tell us a little bit about your background and what is going to bring you to this discussion of the Great Reset and also transhumanism.
I'm Peruvian. I am a research professor of science and technology policy at a Peruvian university. Previously, I taught at ESAN, which is a leading business school in Peru, then at the universities of Essex and Manchester in the UK. And I've done consulting, I've done, the typical work that academics do outside academia also. And now, since 2016 April, I shifted my research interests based on an article that was published by the World Economic Forum, which is basically the fourth industrial revolution, which is what brings me now here. And these are the topics that I'm discussing. Basically, it comes from the first intuition, now the certainty that all these changes are not spontaneous, they are directed, they have a purpose, and it's not good for us, it's good for a few, and I think that's worth fighting against, of course.
I just want to ask you what this is, because many people are not familiar with this term.
The Great Reset, you have to contextualize this concept. It comes up with this idea that, we call the progressive agenda, which is topped up by the environment. The environmental agenda is on top of everything. It justifies, and from there it's stem the other agendas, which are pro-abortion, LGBT rights, feminism, animalism, multiculturalism. So all these isms stem from this great environmental agenda. Now the idea is that, and the rationale behind is that there are too many people in this planet, and we have to do something to lower the population. This is not conspiracy theories. This is not conspiracy theory. This has been openly discussed by Ted Turner, for example, from CNN, by Bill Gates, and all these what's so-called philanthropists, which are basically the guys that run the show behind lines. These are the men and women that control the world. I would like to recommend people, because I don't like just to talk, so they don't say, oh, this guy is just talking for nonsense. Please buy this book, The War Against Population by Jacqueline Kaysen. And it says, there's a purpose of reducing the population. Now, the idea behind the Great Reset is as follows. So the climate is being damaged, extremely damaged. By whom? By the human plague. And they will say, well, why are you exaggerating? Human plague. Well, David Attenborough, I don't know if you know this guy from England. This guy referred to humans as a human plague. And it's a concept that is shared by all these philanthropes and the elite, what people call the elite. So the human plague is destroying the planet, through which tool? Capitalism. So the rationale is simple. What we have to do is we have to stop people using the tool, which is capitalism, which is destroying the planet, and on top of that, or parallel to that, we have to reduce the population or control it. That's the whole Great Reset. That's the real thing behind it. What's the narrative they tell us? Oh, we have so many problems, climate change, racism. They need that because what they have done is the Hegelian dialect. Now what you have is the same rationale. For example, men against women, feminism, homosexuals against heterosexuals, LGBT, and then you will have old versus young people. You will have I don't know, you name it. But these are the polarizations, and this comes under the banner of identity politics. You can just fragment society as much as you want based on certain shared characteristics, which are not ideals or values. The Great Reset is, okay, let's stop destroying Mother Earth. Let's stop using capitalism and its tools as a means of destroying planet Earth, and let's control the people. Stephen Mosher is also a guy that has written plenty about demographic control. This is not conspiracy. The conspiracy guys are on the other side.
I don't know if you've read the book Naked Communist by Skousen, Skousen.
No.
Cleon Skousen. He was an FBI agent in the 40s, and he recognized what was going on with the communists and how they infiltrated the political party. And they set up these goals in the early 1960s, and he laid them out in his book. And a lot of the stuff that they had planned to do, we're seeing today. A lot of these things that you'd mentioned, like this idea of division and breaking down families and pro-abortion and all of those kind of things, those were laid out a long time ago, and we're seeing it today. And so I think it's very scary.
When you read what the Great Reset would do, which is resetting capitalism, testing it to, its final bound, so we can reset this whole thing, it would actually affect billionaires. And then my other question would be, if it affects billionaires, people like Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, and so on, why would they be backing this?
That's a wonderful question, because it touches upon what people might think, well, these guys are crazy. It doesn't make any sense. And it does make a lot of sense. First of all, the limitations are two. People don't understand that the billionaires or centi-billionaires' minds are completely different than normal people. Their goals are completely different. And number two is a misunderstanding or a lack of understanding of technological possibilities today. Now, the question I would ask you is, why would you like to have so much money? What would you do with that money? What does that money allow you to?
I could help people. There's so many things I could do with money.
Well, you're a good guy. You can help people, but not everybody wants to help people. So, for example, you would basically satisfy all your basic and non-basic needs. So non-basic needs, your desires, your wishes, or whatever. That's the perspective of a regular person. A centi-billionaire, and there are a few studies, I have delved into them. There are a few, but you can find them on Google Scholar. By the way, when I say something, it's properly researched. That's why I'm a researcher. So I'm not just saying Bilderberg, Illuminati, or I'm substantiating every response. The psychological profile of billionaires is completely different. What they have found, common trait among them, is a messianic complex. They really think they are gods. The core of progressive thinking in the 21st century is science and technology as the main tools for reform. Your motivation is to exercise power, to leave a legacy, to transcend, but to transcend in secular terms, because they don't believe in God. They are gods. That's how they conceive that. It's no surprise that among these billionaires and these economic elites, you will find that secularism is just the standard. Yes. Because they don't believe in God. They are basically gods.
Yeah, they're atheists. I did look that up. Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, they're all atheists.
All of them. That's number one. And number two, you actually don't need money. What makes you happy, what makes you get things done and gets you things for you is power. And for that, you don't need money. Now, it's not about money, it's about data. I just say, you know what, Joel, I know what you did last summer, so I need you to do this for me. That's why they are so obsessed of providing global internet coverage. Of course, they say, We want to give access to people and the opportunities to people. But the reality is that they want more control over more people. It's as simple as that. Millions of jobs are going to be lost. Millions. That's why they are talking about the universal basic income of death, because it would be too obvious to put you in gas chambers. So we have to deal with this liability that you are, human plague. So we'll give you some kind of tip until you sustain yourself, and perhaps you will decide to commit suicide because all the laws are there for you to commit suicide legally, and that's why they are promoting euthanasia.
So having euthanasia, abortion, and all of these things would make the planet much better in the sense that we can get rid of human beings. And since we are warming the planet, the less human beings we have on the planet, the better it becomes.
Of course, it becomes more livable. Let's talk about abortion, and then we can link it to transhumanism, which is, I think, one of the you wanted to talk. Okay, so let's remember that Great Reset narrative, which is basically the underlying assumption is that there's climate change, the human plague is destroying it through capitalism, so we have to reduce population and make people don't go to capitalism. We will provide welfare state. When you think about demographic control, you have many ways. You can control the demographics by killing people. That's reducing the population. You can control demographics by inhibiting reproduction. That's another way of not reducing it, but controlling it. And you can reduce the population by killing people, euthanasia, openly. Let's go step by step, but by the major ideologies and agendas of this progressive agenda. Let's say first, abortion. Abortion doesn't reduce the population. It just doesn't allow it to increase. But there's a rationale behind abortion. Abortion is the most fundamental, if I would point out the most fundamental destruction to our civilization is the approval, the legalization of abortion. Based on this principle of life, the right to live, all other rights make sense because of it. When you have life, you have access to you all those other rights stem from this right to live. That's the most fundamental right of all.
Just to bring up something positive, what do you think we can do? Now we heard how bad the Great Reset is.
Two things make people move. One's when they get hit or when they touch their wallets. And that's what they advocate. A life is worth living. It's a good life if it's a pleasurable life. You have the possibility to experiment. And I said, once you have abortion, you open the door for all these disasters.
Yes.
Think, for instance, remember this, and then I'm going to come back to this abortion issue. Second, let's think about gender ideology. This will come up, of course, with all this package of indoctrination, which goes from the media, from governments, Hollywood, anyways. So you will see that, and then you will have euthanasia, which is that's a de facto reduction of population. But then you will see everything at the end is aligned to this, and it all makes sense. It all makes sense, and everything I have said can be proved. And proof it's abundant. It's in it's in front of you. Every single day you will see it. I don't need an expert to tell me that the world is going upside down. This idea of the fallacy of authority, because no expert has said it. And check the media, they always repeat, according to experts, according to scientists. It's always reasserting and bombarding your psyche. You are no one. It's the experts and the scientists. What they don't say, for instance, is that the philanthropists have tentacles everywhere, not only in supranational organizations, but they also have them on universities. The first question to be asked to these people is, okay, wonderful, whatever doctor, whatever said that, who funds him? So whenever they come with this argument, oh, according to expert, whatever, yeah, okay, who finances him? For people who have never heard about transhumanism, I will lay out the most fundamental ideas, and then I will explain why